let's get this one inside quick. It's probably some intake stuff not hooked up. We did confirm compression on it before we're tearing it apart. S52 is healthy. A measly 216K on it. Good morning. We got this beautiful S52. It's an M3, but we're just gonna call it an S52 because that's all we need out of it. I'm gonna fire it up one more time, do a little brap, 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 and then we're gonna drop this thing out as fast as we can. Do a little brap, brap, brap. Healthy. So the way that we're going to be pulling this car apart is in three major pieces: engine, transmission, front subframe, rear subframe. So we got all the tools, we got everything. We're going to tear this apart the easiest way, the most complete way. So I'm going to get started on this front core support, and that's going to be about it for the front end. Obviously we got all the big items out of the way already. Then next we're gonna go for the stuff connecting the engine to the chassis. We're gonna disconnect this the easiest way possible to where the engine harness lays on the motor and drops out with it. These three plugs here make it super, super easy and convenient on these cars. Everything's gonna stay intact. We're not gonna pull the intake manifold. We're not going to unplug anything underneath it. We might pull the power steering separate. We'll get there when we get there. So we've been busy. We got the engine harness laid out, all powers still connected, ECUs in one piece, relays in one piece. All right, so we got it up in the air. Had to cut out the crusty exhaust, but we're cranking away. These didn't want to play. Somebody embedded them. Didn't even get them tight. Used the wrong hardware and embedded them in the exhaust, so I didn't want to mess with it. I just chopped it. If you come over here, this is interesting too. The stud for the center support bearing broke, so they just used some self tappers, and honestly, it worked pretty well because I never knew. We drove this car a bunch. But I'm gonna keep on cranking. Another thing I'm gonna do while I'm down here is make sure that we disconnect our shift linkage on the transmission, basically shift cable. And then fuel right here. We gotta get fuel undone down here. You can do it up at the rail, but since this car is never going back together, I wanna keep the drivetrain as complete as possible. Next, we're going to be taking everything in the suspension off, basically cutting brake lines, pulling wires, and getting it ready to drop. So I wasn't sure my plan here with the pallets, but the idea is unhook everything when it's down, lift the car up, everything should stay, and then we got a forklift we can come in here and get the pallet with. I'm going to have to adjust it on the pallet. I've never actually done this with a pallet situation like this, so bear with me, because obviously it's nowhere near center. I didn't want it on the floor, so I stacked a few pallets up. Like I said, I've never done this specifically with the pallets, but I've dropped these. Usually at this point, if you don't have a lift and you're pulling the engine and the transmission, front subframe and everything together just like this, this is the point where you'd hook up your engine hoist and you drop the subframe right onto the legs of it. Then you'd pull the subframe out, you jack your motor up, pull your subframe out, and then you got your motor hanging separately. But this is a little bit different of a situation. So like I said, bear with me. Next, we're gonna start getting the rear subframe torn out. Just because all the weight's in the back of the car, I put a trans brace here. Now that we got our S52 on a pallet here and the rear subframe on the rollers, on the moving dollies, that's gonna wrap up this video. But thanks for watching. Subscribe, Retro Motorsports USA for more. E36 M3.